and welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
We are back in the Valley of the Sun.
Yes.
And it's actually been pleasantly cool.
Yeah, it's not,
week.
I mean, it's
We
probably
brought some
not
cool weather with us.
It's probably not cool to other people, but to us it's cool.
Yeah, we're like, ooh, it's only going to be 75 today. I may need to pull out all my shawls and...
Yeah. or oh, wow, it's only 85. Cool.
Yeah, so we celebrate it when we can. But yeah, it's definitely fall here, I think, finally.
Yeah, the water coming out of the faucet isn't boiling hot.
Yes. I always celebrate. There's 2 days I celebrate in Arizona. One day is when the air is cooler than my skin for the first time, which happened this week. And then 2 is when the water comes out cold from the cold faucet. Yeah.
There are some homes where the water pipes coming to the home are so close to the surface that...
Or through the ceiling, through the roof.
Or,
yeah.
That the water comes out boiling in the summer. You have to be really careful if you have children that they don't just automatically throw their hands in the water or something because you have to run it.
Especially water coming out of the hose in the yard.
Oh, it's
yeah.
And well, it's because our pipes go through the roof, through the crawl space in our house. They come from from the ground. They go up into the walls through the bathrooms, and then to get to the kitchen, they go through our crawl space. So in our bathroom, in our room, and in the kitchen, the water is horribly hot. It's hot anyway, but so it comes out cold, and then it gets boiling hot, and then it gets mildly hot. And I always say Phoenix is the only town where you can cook your vegetables when you wash them. It's really easy.
Well, on the opposite side of that, when I lived in Belgium, the water went up into the ceiling like that, and
it would freeze.
and it froze. So our water, the same time, because it was really cold, the water froze, the heat froze. It had snowed for like a week without stopping. We couldn't go anywhere. You'd open the door and snow was frozen up, and I had to go down to the cellar to get water, drag it up like a pioneer woman, and just to flush the toilets and stuff. And I was like, I am so done with
I cannot live like that. I could not.
And I know that other people live in that kind of climate all the time, and they love it, and they don't understand how we can, live in 115 degree heat. And it's like, it's only like that for a little while.
What does somebody say? You don't have to shovel sunshine.
You don't have to shovel warm, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the climate here. I just love it. But I grew up in the desert, so yeah.
But so we're celebrating our little fall that we're having. I'm gonna celebrate more fall tomorrow. So excited. Okay, but I'll talk about that later. Eve's going to go first today.
Because I got a whole bunch of stuff in front of me, and I can't work on my project with it here. So, first I'm going to show this. I didn't get...
plastic noise. Hold on. Okay, sorry.
I didn't get to sewing the bag I wanted to sew because we're going to talk about it during stories, but I was really tired when we got back from Albuquerque. And it took me like 2 days to just get where I could think straight. So...
What did you forget?
Did you forget your needles? Do you have your cross stitch?
Yeah, no, I'm going to pause because... Do you have crochet hooks?
I think so, yeah.
Do you have a J? Yeah, because I was working on this, and so...
Yeah, I do, actually. Pause it.
Okay. Dummy. We're back.
We had a needle emergency.
He saved me.
So, well, to be fair, she always has to figure out what she needs to bring to come here. And, whatever we have, it's here,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I had, before we left for Albuquerque, I was working on a quilt. And I had it all laid out all over the table. So, when I finally got up the energy to... start working on something, I was like, well, it's all laid out, I better do it. Because I had a layer cake of the fabrics I wanted to use for this quilt.
A layer cake is a pack of 10-inch squares.
A package which has about 40 10-inch squares. And I needed that, and I cut it down to 5-inch squares, and then I had some 5-inch squares. It's called the charm pack of just a plain color. I needed 2 of those, and I had them all laid out to where I knew which colors I wanted to do the pinwheels with, because it's going to have pinwheels in it. Each square has 2 pinwheels. And then I wanted to make sure that colors weren't repeated, or too close together, or, this pinwheel with the same color, whatever. So I had it all laid out how I wanted it to do it. And I had already prepared for making the pinwheels. And that's sewing all the way around. Anyway. So since it was all there on the table laid out, I was like, well, I'm not going to pick all that up and then have to pull it all back out to figure out what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So I started cutting them to get the pinwheels, and then I had to, of course, iron them. Yes. And then...
did you figure out all the colors and everything?
Yeah, I had done that before I left. Oh. So... this is trimmed to the right size. I only have 2 of them, 2 packets that are trimmed to the right size. I use these clips to keep them together.
That's smart.
And I'm only going to chain piece 2 at a time so that I can keep them together.
Oh yeah.
But these are not, and the rest of this stack is not. But this is the whole quilt right here.
Nice.
I can hand it to him like this at Christmas.
There you go. So here, you'll get it next Christmas.
So I got it to this point, and I was like, well...
Does he have any idea you're making it for?
No, he knows I'm working on a quilt, but he doesn't know what it's for. He doesn't care. He just says, what are you doing? And what he means is, will you come watch TV with me? Aww. And I always say, I'll be there in a minute. Yeah. Because there's going to be days when he's not going to be here. And so... yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. I can always cross-stitch while I... watch TV. So then I said, well, in Witchy Stitchy, one of the tricks that they want you to do is to take a piece that you finished, that's just been sitting, and finish it, fully finish it.
Do you have to do that to get the pin?
No.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
No, the only thing that is required is the mandatory stitch day, which is the 31st.
Well, and to stitch
every day. Yeah.
So I fully finished Coop Parade.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and you probably
I like
can't.
The fabric in the back.
I'll take a
fabric.
picture of it, but this has roosters on it. This fabric, I found this at Mall Queen, and I said I'd been looking for like buttons or something, or with chickens. And I couldn't find anything, and I was over there looking for something else, and I was like, oh, roosters!
That's so cute.
So I bought this fabric, and I got this little pom-pom trim at Hobby Lobby.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Let me see. Oh, yeah. It looks like eggs.
It looks like
it does.
Like little eggs around the outside.
I spent most of yesterday doing this.
Oh, that's adorable.
And because I spent Wednesday on the quilt. And I said, I really need to make those bags. I want to make them. It's not that I didn't want to, but, the quilt was in the way. And, yeah. I had that fabric, and I was like, okay, yeah, I need to do that. So, now, this is the bags. So, when we bought this fabric, I had intended to just do... a bag with the kitties as the main. I call it main, but you actually use less of this fabric. And then the coordinating fabric is this pumpkins. But when I was getting ready to work on it, I was talking with Beth, and I was like, these pumpkins are so beautiful. And we'll take some pictures so you can see up close, but the pumpkins have these gold trim, metallic trim on them. So
they're fall pumpkins. They're not necessarily Halloweeny pumpkins,
right,
which makes them so pretty.
So one bag is one way, and the other bag is the other way.
A lot.
So it's 2 versions of the same bag. They, of course, are not made yet, and not up on the Etsy site yet. but it is Friday. It was supposed to be early in the morning on Friday. It's not. It's in the afternoon on Friday.
My fault.
Huh?
My fault.
Well, she had things to do. And
Yeah, we're recording a day early, so
yeah, so
again.
I'm hoping that these will be up and on the Etsy site on Sunday, which is probably when you will see this. And if not, it will be up
Very soon.
very soon. Because my sewing machine is set up and I have everything ready to go. I sewed on. I just sewed these together so that you could see what they look like, but the interfacing's on. So the hardest part is honestly the part that I find the most tedious is putting the interfacing on. And it's not as tedious as it used to be. It used to be, there wasn't anything such thing as fusible interfacing. Mm-hmm. You had to sew it in.
Yes. Ugh.
It was, and then it would poof everywhere. Yeah, but I don't know why I find it tedious. I've already cut everything out, and I have to cut it out again, and I don't know. But
excuse me. Sorry.
But I think they're beautiful. I love these pumpkins.
I really like that.
Yeah, and so I will set to work doing that. On a plus side, my threads are in from the attic, so I might have to sojourn to the attic today.
Mm-hmm.
So
those icy blue ones that
Mm-hmm.
you've been wanting all this time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that, and then I am working on Halloween Gnomes by Ursula
Michael.
Michael.
I love that
Michael,
so much.
no S.
Mm.
Ursula Michael for Imaginating. And yes, every time I say that, I have to say imaginating is not a word. We wonder why our children we wonder why our children can't spell and don't know English. That's why.
That's
Not
so
just
cute.
that, but and I understand they were trying to make a name for a company, but my mother was a first grade teacher. She was annoyed by stuff like that.
Spooky, creepy, happy, scary, tricky.
One of my mom's pet peeves was Toys R Us because the R was backwards. She was a first grade teacher, and she's like, it's hard enough to make them understand which way to draw the letters.
Go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look, and Toys R Us has the R backwards.
When my son was little, and I'd tell him, that's not the way you draw a P. And he goes, that's the way I do it. That's what he used to tell me. That's the way I do it. Well, it's wrong. Sorry to crush your creativity, but that one's wrong. That's adorable. That reminds me, because each of those gnomes has a name: spooky, creepy, happy, scary, tricky. And it reminds me, I have a story to tell about that from this weekend.
So
orchestra rehearsal.
When I bought this pattern a year ago, I thought, it won't take me that long. Ha ha ha. I haven't even gotten the first one
Famous
done.
last words.
Yeah. I've just stopped saying that. I always look at a pattern and say, this will take me forever. So I can be realistic about it.
Okay, so that's me.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm working on right now in my hands is that pattern that my cousin found at the yarn shop at Nob Hill, where we went, where we were too ogled to take any photos. So I'll take a close-up of this, but it's very simple pattern. It's just single crochets.
It's so pretty.
And a chain one, single crochet chain one across, and then you switch colors for each row. So, and each yarn, the variegation is pretty fast. It's like, so there's blue, and then it turns purple, and so it's pretty. It's a quick change of color. So what that results in is that's the back. Sorry, is very colorful. So you can't really even tell when you switch yarns because they're each switching colors so fast.
Mm.
So it's really nice. So I just decided to start this because shiny things and something new. And
It's going fast.
it's going fast, and because the hook is huge. It's a J hook, so it's really big. So big stitches means fast crochet. So it's just fun. I thought, well, it's something to do when I'm, because you know how I am, short attention span theater. So that's fun to do. And I have been a good girl. I'm so proud. I'm actually proud of myself because I decided I want the little witchy stitchy magnet. So I just remember I told you last week that I decided to start. So look at all this I've done. And so I've been consistent since the day I started. And this is the Winter's Past pattern. I put a picture of it last week, but I'll show you my progress. So I've been working on it every day, doing my, well, sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes of stitching and half an hour of sleeping. What are you looking for?
Scissors.
Sometimes it's supposed to be 30 minutes every day. Sometimes it's 15 minutes of stitching and half an hour of sleeping, and then another 15. But anyway, but I've been consistent. I'm really pleased.
You can break up your 30 minutes however you need.
I know. And I figure if I finish a section, so next I think I might do those bunny rabbits. There's little bunny rabbits there. Because I really don't want to start these
That's
borders.
so pretty.
But it's coming out nice. I think it looks nice. I mean, like you, I'm like, oh, pink. But there's a lot of other colors, and it's nice. I think it's really neat. And I like the color of the fabric, too. So, there's that. And then, of course, I have all the... I didn't
Is that
dare.
the fabric I gave you?
Yeah, that's the fabric. It's even weave, and I sometimes feel like punching my face in using it, but because I'm like, it's so hard to count. I'm like, I miss Ada. It was very simple. And I got these in. I think I talked about them, but I didn't bring them. I didn't show them in New Mexico. So when I bought this panel with the hymns on it, like this one says, Strength for Today, Bright Hope for Tomorrow, from... What's that from?
Tomorrow.
Great is Thy Faithfulness.
Yeah.
And then this one is like It Is Well With My Soul. You see the floral patterns around them. They've taken those and put those into. There's a whole bunch more, but into the line of fabric. So you can see there's these beautiful florals, and they're all the same of the trim, the design around the hymn quotes. So I bought this, and what I'm going to do is just a really simple, I'm going to make it up myself, I think. And I think I'm just going to use this in between panels. So I have these large panels, and then I have this of small panels, which are the same hymns, just one color each. And so I think I'm going to try to work it out to have these just basically outlined with the strips in between, so have like a big one surrounded by several little ones kind of thing. I don't know. I'm gonna make it up on my own. So I'm gonna trim these up and see how big they are, and trim these up and see how they come out consistently, and then go from there. I don't know. So stay tuned. That'll happen sometime. Probably next year. I don't think I'm going to get to it this year. But, or maybe I will and abandon everything else like I usually do. And I have not worked one bit on my Snarkometer shawl. I feel kind of bad about it. I just kind of ran out of steam. And, but what I plan to do is, Knit Stars finally comes out. Oh, if you are interested in Knit Stars, I've been talking about it a lot. If you're interested, it's open for registration right now. So when you see this video, it will have been open a couple of days, and you have a few more days after that. And you can buy Season 6, which will start showing on October 31st. You will own it forever. So even if you don't watch it all, you can go back and watch it forever. It's really a great deal. And then you can also buy previous seasons. So go to the website, knitstars.com, and see if you're interested. But you have a small window to go ahead and register now. Beth is deep in concentration.
Sorry. I'm trying to match up where my pattern is, because I didn't make a working copy, so
no.
I don't want to write on this.
Oh.
So I try to
But
figure
she's
out where I am.
But anyway, so what I plan to do is pick up the snarkometer while I'm watching the Knit Stars classes. A couple of those classes I have the yarn for. So, but I found last year that I just wanted to absorb the class and then go back later and knit whatever the project is. So I may do that. I don't know, but I'm not gonna worry about it or stress about it too much because I had enough stress in my life. But so that's me.
These are
and I have
hobbies.
some stories.
These are hobbies. These are not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. So anyway,
I haven't even looked. Well, today I looked in the bag looking for a crochet.
oh yeah,
But I haven't even looked at my shawl because I'm like, Christmas is coming and that's for me.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and I have things that I want to do for Christmas, like that quilt.
Yeah,
Let me just say with my son's quilt that I bought him another comforter when he was older, but he is still using the comforter that I bought to put on his bed when I adopted him.
oh my gosh.
And it's
He was
for a
cute.
twin size bed.
Yeah,
And that's the one he wants.
yeah,
But I think if he had a quilt, I think he might really like that because they feel different on.
Yeah.
And he likes a blanket, so I think he'll really like that. So
yeah. Yeah, and I do want to finish Hannah's. It's very tedious right now because I'm just sewing 5-inch circles around. And
yeah, that took me a while to just.
And then I gotta cut them all. Then I gotta trim them all. Then I have to decide the colors because some of them go this way and some go that way, and I have to decide how many go this way and how many go that way because I need a good mix of colors, right? So.
Any of you quilters out there, you know what we're talking about. We know, you can't just, when you're watching the videos of people making quilts, they just grab one and, because they're making one.
Yeah, making one square.
They've already done the making of the, where they're having to figure out this and that, but you can't just,
Yeah.
I suppose you could just willy-nilly.
Well, because if I did,
you might end up with something that's all one color.
Yeah, where all the stars are that face this direction are all the greens and blues, and then all the ones that go this way are all the reds and oranges. Well, that's not going to work, So I have to. I'm really right now the squares that I'm sewing are in color order, and because there's 2 of every design, so that means when you cut it into 4s, there's 8 of every design. So so I'm sewing them all, and I'm just putting them over there right now, and then I'll resort them after I cut them and trim them, and I'm going to keep the 4s because you make one piece of the star with one with 4, but you have to know which way to orient it. So I'm going to cut and trim and keep all the colors together, and then decide colors, and then sew. And then,
that's why these are clipped together.
Yep.
Each
Yep.
one is one
a set. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to get them out of.
And then when you lay it out, it's a whole nother ballpark. I saw this online. I saw this one woman posted a picture. I guess she made some big quilt, and there was one square turned the wrong way.
Oh.
And she said that the long arm quilter called her and said, "Is it okay if we take it apart and fix it for you? No charge." And she was like, "That's so nice." Because can you imagine?
Can you imagine paying for it and it comes back and it's your mistake?
Right. That's
Well,
the worst.
that's like Colorado cross stitcher who was told by a viewer, "You didn't finish that," and it was already at the framer. And she had to call him and run down there and fix it. Yeah, she had she'd left off a few stitches somewhere, and Pam did that on Pam and Steph.
I was gonna say, I think,
and it was already in the frame or something.
Yeah, they had to take it out and she had to fix it.
So it happens to everybody, but
it just takes one stitch.
Just takes one stitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's me. I'm just plugging away at all my million things, but I'm going out of town again. So I got to figure out what to take with me. Obviously, I have to take my cross stitch with me, so that's probably all I'll have time to do. But
and energy. doing that when we were in Albuquerque. Doing that, there was one day when I worked on it for half an hour. Well, actually, I worked on it an hour, but my eyes were open for about half an hour. Because where I was staying, she has a whole bunch of lights, but there's no light. and Dad was asleep on the couch, so with a really bright light where I'd done it the day before,
You couldn't go out there.
I wasn't going to have him get up. He was asleep. So I was at this chair and I'm like, I can't see what I'm doing.
It's my worst mistake, and I need to remember that for this trip. My worst mistake was not taking a neck light with me. Because the one I had, that flip one, just disintegrated and broke. And I have another one that is 2 lights like this that turn on. That's pretty nice, but the batteries die fast. But I think I'm going to take that one with me. I got to remember to do that.
When you get out of your stitching space or where you normally do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I went to Stitch Shenanigans, I'm wearing my Stitch Shenanigans t-shirt. When I went to Stitch Shenanigans, the room we were in, the big room we were in, had a diffuse light like that. There were wall sconces, that were, because it's a ballroom
Hotel,
for dining or whatever. But so there were overhead lights, and there were lights along the walls, and so there were certain, like I guess when we got there in the afternoon, I was sitting at a table by the door, and the light was coming in the door, so it was nice and bright. And certain times of the day it was like that, but like at night, it was very dim.
I have to have
and so
really
I
good
had
light. Even for knitting, I have to have good light.
Yeah, I had those clip lights that I bought for orchestra, and I had those. At first, I had them like clipped to my hoop, and it was okay, but they were in the way and they were very heavy, and so I actually clipped them to the table.
Yeah.
And pointed them at the table, and so it worked out really well.
That was my big mistake when I went to Albuquerque. I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Maybe
either.
I thought of it for a split second, but
I didn't have any trouble with the light in the bedroom where we were sleeping. That overhead light, it was a.
The overhead light in Mary Lou's bedroom was fine, but I can't sit on a bed and do this because it hurts my back.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
And I certainly didn't want to lean against the walls for other reasons that I'm not going to talk about. But I have to sit in a chair.
Yeah.
and I was leaning the wrong way to get in under the light. I always lean toward my left, and in this chair I had to lean toward my right, and then so my arm is not,
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it didn't help that I was exhausted. That Friday, we didn't even go to Balloon Fiesta that day, but we
wore ourselves out.
Yeah, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun, to go to all those shops and do all that. But yeah, exhaustion hit hard.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go now.
Okay, you go now.
So I have to finish. And I'm kind of at odds and ends today because I've been before Naomi came over, I was going through all my projects because I have a lot of unfinished stuff, but I had bought a bunch of patterns recently, some in Albuquerque at the Stitcher's Garden, and others I've had just that I bought recently, like at the attic and all that. And so I was gonna do some more Halloween stitching. I have had some patterns from Stitching with the Housewives. I have Ghoul Garland and Cataween Cal, which are both projects that I bought some time ago, probably a year or two ago, whenever they came out. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this for Halloween, and I didn't. So so I was going through there, and they have DMC alternatives listed on there, but they're charted in Classic Colorworks. And so I was, going through looking at my stash because I thought, well, okay, I want to use the Classic Colorworks, because when I did Pumpkin Pile, a pattern of theirs earlier I guess probably this summer, I just converted it to threads I had in my stash they were all like Weeks Dye Works colors. And but I thought, well, I want to do the Classic Colorworks that it's called for, but I have like one or two of the colors, but I don't have a very extensive Classic Colorworks stash. So I was, going through and making lists, and while I was at it, I thought, well, I'm just gonna, because I was thinking of like, let's go to the attic. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to go to the attic, I want to buy, like, there's several colors of Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts things that I don't have that are all in these new patterns that I have. So I've been making lists of, what colors I have, what colors I don't have, blah, blah, blah. So I've been doing that this morning because I haven't finished. So as you may recall, I've been working on this Tiny Modernist mystery. It was a mystery Sal when it first came out in 2019. So of course all the parts have come out now, and you can do them either in a big sampler like this, or you can do them as 4 individual drums, like so you can do a strip. And
what do you use the drums for? Or you just
for decoration? Just for decoration. Yeah, you can use them to stick pins in if you want to, or whatever.
I see.
Yeah. And Vonna has some good tutorial about how to make a drum, so that's what I was thinking. So anyway, I finished the long horizontal strip.
I was going to say, technically, it's not a finish. It's just a finish for now.
Yeah. So this is what I did. I don't know.
partial
I'll try to
finish.
take a picture of that. But
It's nice.
It's beautiful.
yeah, so it's really cute.
So you're going to put the stuff on this side, and you have a lot of
Yeah.
extra over here.
On this fabric on the other end is what I'm going to use to make the top part of the design. And so there's a.
Oh, so you could stack the drums so that the little poem shows
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can,
Or you can make a big thing.
So anyway, so I finished this last night. I was like, oh, it's done. There's a little bit of backstitching just to like these pumpkins. Oh, you can't see because it's Baby Yoda. The pumpkins have some backstitching on them, just the little vines. And there's a little backstitching here and there, like the face on this moon and the teeth on the vampire, and here and there.
So technically, it's not finished.
So this part is finished. the designs for the drum are not finished. So this is a big piece of cloth. So
No, but I'm saying if you didn't do the backstitching.
No, the
yet.
backstitch is done.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I
I see.
did it.
I thought you said not yet.
No, there's just a little bit of backstitching in the design. Is what
Oh,
I'm
I
saying.
see.
Yeah.
I see.
But it's all done.
Yay! Congrats.
So yay! So the one thing is the
How much
white,
did you have? Sorry, how much did you have done when you started it up this month? I'm curious.
Just not counting the hat band or the eye of the crow. I had basically this section up to, like, I had all the words done and this section, and I had, like, I think the tombstones and one the bottom of the house.
Uh-huh.
And then I had only one color of the pumpkins
Uh-huh.
and one color of the grass.
So then you finished the whole.
Yeah, so I did all the rest of this.
I see. Wow.
Since
You're getting faster.
Since the beginning of the month. And part of it is that it goes really quickly, and it's like the house is, all these, it's all DMC except for the border up here, and the purple of the vampire, and one of the shades of the pumpkins. I had done the pumpkins all the way across, one shade of it, and I had done one shade of the grass, which is the DMC color, and I had done the border. So I did all the rest of it, like the black, the words and the cat and the little fence that the cat's on. All those things I had done in May, because I did one day on this for what do you call it, Mania.
Are you gonna do something else now, or are you gonna start the rest of it?
I think I that's what I've been sort of, I don't know about, because in order to do the drum over here, I have to do some measuring on the fabric and make
or
sure.
You could just do all the panels and then do the drums later.
Yeah. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but I also have, like I said, the other the stitching with the housewives charts. So I might do those. Anyway, so this is done. Yay! And so for today, I thought I just grabbed, because I still have my Midnight Meow. I have a little bit to do on that. And I thought, well, I could do that. I'd work on that today. But I thought, I saw this first. I grabbed this. So this is the little scissor fob kit, the Chessie and Me scissor fob kit that I bought at the attic.
We're going to call them sister fobs now.
Yeah. I bought this at the attic a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know, whatever. Because I not this past week, but I think the week before, or 2 weeks before, I had talked about this little scissor fob, but I had started it, and I had talked about how the fact that the bottom part of the acorn is supposed to be done in
those star stitches.
Yeah, Smyrna crosses.
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
And they were
Smyrna
just
crosses.
looking like lumpy, and were not. So I just pulled them out and did regular stitches, cross stitches on them. But I'm having trouble working on this. I'm working on this branch here, and it's just really hard to see. It's partly this type of linen that it's on. It's partly.
Did you get that linen from the kit?
Yeah, it came with the linen and the threads and a needle. And it's really simple and very small, and I should be done with it. But it's so hard to see that I'm stitching it and going, no, that's the wrong hole. No, that's the wrong hole. And then like just trying to see the colors. It's not that the colors necessarily all that close to the color of the fabric. It's just really tiny.
It's very tiny.
I think it's.
Oh, and this has like a gingham. Color
little pattern
to it.
Yeah.
It's not just flat.
Yeah, it's 30 count straw natural gingham linen from Weekside Works. So it's just really hard to see because it's so tiny, and like I said, the Smyrna crosses are just coming out.
I don't think it would be as hard for you if it was brighter colors or something.
Maybe.
But that was one of the problems I was having working on the mouse. Was that I was working with white on white, and I was I cannot see this, and it was tinier holes than I'm used to working with, but and I was like, I'm never going to work on 32 count again. So what did I do? I went over and bought some 32 count the other day because the patterns that I bought, it said even higher count than that. I was like, there's no way, but I really want to do those patterns, but I don't want them to be, this big. So I bought darker colors, and they're going to be more of a contrast. And I think if that was more of a contrast, you wouldn't be fighting with it as much.
Maybe. But it's just really tiny.
Yeah, it's just hard to, and this
is so small. I can't. It's so hard for me because I'm also trying to count. 9 stitches, 9 holes.
Yeah,
and trying to figure that out. And But
you're doing a great job. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the trouble the thing I don't like also is and I was looking at it. That's linen,
Mm-hmm.
and this is linen, and actually, and to see this is like Monica Lugana. It's a little heavier fabric. It almost feels like I was thinking about it. It feels like denim almost, and it's just easier to stitch on to me.
You also do 9. You do it's 9 holes.
Yeah, 2/2.
Yeah, this looks more less loosey goosey, more even.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be even weave, but every thread is a different thickness.
Yeah,
in this.
linen is kind of that way. It tends to have like schlubs and things like that. So there are some things that are a little thicker than others.
And some of my crosses look bigger and some are smaller just because the threads are thicker.
Yeah.
And it's driving me crazy.
Yeah, like there's some pieces of linen
and it's also crooked.
Are very
like it's stretchy, I guess.
Yeah. Are very schlubby, and like you'll have a thread that's very fat
those are very fat, and so they
and
affect
then some
the
that
size
are
of the crosses.
some that are very very thin, and so you have to like kind of make sure that you're only only counting one, crossing one thread or whatever.
But because of that, sometimes the X's don't look uniform.
Yeah,
they don't look uniform, and it drives me nuts. But
so that's one reason why. I really prefer Monica Lugana if I'm gonna,
Well, I always liked her. She was a nice girl. Hey, Monica, how you doing?
But
why is it called Monica?
Monaco.
Monaco. Not Monica.
Yeah. Did I say Monica?
You say Monica every time.
Monaco Lugana.
Monaco, as in the city.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I guess, I've heard many people refer to it as Monaco, or some people refer to it as Ghana. But when I look at the package, the DMC package, for instance, it says Monaco Lugana, like it's all one thing.
I'm just laughing.
Monaco.
When I write my next book, I'm just going to have a character named Monica Lugana. And only people who cross stitch are going to get it.
But yeah, so I have a whole bunch of patterns that call for.
Oh, this is very stretchy.
Weeks Dye Works or Gentle Arts or Classic Color Works or some combination. So I thought I'm taking advantage of this trip to the attic and just get whatever I can A, afford, and B, whatever they have in stock or whatever.
I spent so much money in Albuquerque that when we go to the attic, I have to be very strict with myself.
I was going to say, Cousin Judy, if you're watching, I just want you to know this is cotton, so it's not going to be squishy like the other scarf I gave you. It's cotton, so it has a little bit firmer hand to it. But it's so pretty, look! And it has to be 6 inches wide. How many inches is this? 2 inches? So it'll be nice and wide. Yeah, that's probably 2 inches, I would bet. My fat thumb. I need to measure my fingers. They always say if you measure your finger, you know exactly how long one of your fingers is, so that you can, especially for knitting. Have I gone 4 inches yet? So anyway, this has turned out pretty. So you might be noticing my little pill bottle here. You know what it's full of? Flies. Fishing flies.
I started to tell you I had watched the beginning of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is the Pride and Prejudice story, basically, the characters anyway. But there's kind of an elaborate backstory or whatever, but there's zombies in it. So, they're fighting the zombies or whatever. But at the beginning of that movie, and I had never seen the beginning, I just seen like a snippet of the middle or whatever. But at the beginning of the movie, Darcy, it talks about how, you can tell, one of the, he comes to this party and they're all, in the party and he says something about, he has a container and he lets some flies out there at the party. And they're like, why did you do that? And he's talking about how, they're carrion flies or whatever, So he uses them to tell whether or not somebody's dead. He says you can know they're attracted to somebody's dead. And there's a man there in the party that because
passing
he said he had heard something about somebody had in this household had recently been bitten, and they were like, "Oh no, nobody here's been bitten," and so then he lets these flies loose, and they go to stick on this man's face,
Ew.
and so he kills them. And,
That's a pleasant story.
But yeah,
these
so
are not
that's
those
what I
kind of
thought of
flies.
when I saw those flies.
These are fishing flies. Because tomorrow I'm going up north, Arizona, almost Utah, not quite, and I'm going on a guided fly fishing tour with my son.
It looks like a little thing of flies.
So,
I mean, when I looked at it, I was like, she's got dead flies in there.
They're not dead flies, but they're so so today I took a lesson from a gentleman who's so nice, and he handed me this bottle, and he goes, I had all these flies I tied myself, and I figure they're probably going to be like what you need up there, so I'll just give them to you. I'm like, thank you. So, and he makes custom handmade fly fishing, fly tying stations, and it's funny because I pulled up behind his truck. We met this morning at a local park that has a pond for the lesson. And when I pulled up and saw his truck, it said Black Dog Photography on it. And I said, I've seen that truck before. And I remembered that months and months and months and months ago, I had gone to a class up at Arizona Fly Shop and took just an informational class and bought a shirt. And I've worn the shirt on this video before. Mm-hmm. And then I was at the grocery store, and I'm walking out of the store and getting out of a truck that said Black Dog Photography, which I thought of because I thought maybe I had called them for an ad for Music Fest ages ago. I'm not sure. But so I was looking at the truck, and out comes an old man wearing Arizona Fly Shop shirt. And I knew the shop was new. So I was like, hey, I like your shirt. And he goes, yeah, it's a brand new fly shop that just opened. I said, yeah, I've been there. I took a class. And he goes, oh, I make the fly tying stations that they sell there. I was like, oh, great. Hey. So then I pull up behind the truck, and I'm like, wait a minute. And it's him. Same guy. So he's the one who gave me my lesson this morning, and also my son. And it was so nice. And he gave me these flies and a little bottle of them for fun. And to try up there. I'll take pictures of them. They're actually very beautiful. And I'm in the middle of reading a book called The Feather Thief, which is a very fascinating book. You should look it up if you're interested at all in birds and or fly fishing. Because I guess this guy in the early 2000s, he became obsessed as a child with tying flies. Never fished a day in his life. But he became obsessed with flying ties perfectly with the original...
Flying ties or
tying flies?
You said flying ties.
I know, that too. But with the original feathers that they
with Monica Lagana.
His girlfriend was Monica Lagana. No. Tying flies with the original feathers. Now, these were salmon flies, which are different from trout flies. Because apparently a trout wants to bite what it eats. So you get flies that look like what it eats. But salmon, this is what I learned from the book, they bite what they are threatened by to protect their eggs. So the more elaborate and crazy it is, they say, that it'll look like a foreign predator or something, so the salmon will bite it to keep it away from its eggs. So that's why these salmon lures, the salmon flies, look like crazy things that don't exist in nature. Apparently. So I guess in the Victorian era, they, the naturalists were in the jungle sending back birds of paradise and quetzals and all these fancy, crazy, beautifully colored birds, and Victorian women were putting the whole entire bird skin on their hat, and Victorian men were tying flies with them. So then it became like...
So why don't we kill off a whole bunch of birds just for fashion?
So then
just for fashion.
So then it became a thing, right? And then this kid comes along in the, I guess, early 2000s, late 1990s, whatever, and he is a genius. He's a flute player. Actually, apparently he still has a job in Canada as a flute player. And he becomes obsessive about this and is winning all kinds of competitions, but he wants to tie them with the original feathers. So this man breaks into a museum and steals almost 300 birds, skins and feathers, and bodies and skins of birds that had been collected like in the Victorian era, and he steals them, and he takes them and plucks the feathers. I'm at the point where he's about to start selling them. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm not going to be that crazy with these. I promise you. And I'm going to fish for trout, so I don't care about, well, maybe one day for salmon. But anyway, I learned to cast today, which is a whole thing. Look at that. It's pretty. Look, it's got a little, ooh, stuck in my skin. It's got a pretty little shiny belly, like a fly. Isn't that neat? Gross, Eve says. It's so cool though. And here's a look at this one. You like this one, Eve? It's a little wormy.
Yuck.
It's fuzzy. It ain't gonna hurt you.
I know it's not gonna hurt me, but gross.
Anyway, so hopefully next week I'll be back with a few pictures of some actual fish. It's this catch and release, and that's my new religion. So I decided to, I think I told the story, I decided to switch religions when we were in Greer. I was like, yeah, maybe I need to learn to fly fish. And the gentlemen so far that I've run across that are teaching me these things have been really, really sweet and nice. And they're all named Dave. Today was Dave. Next Sunday is the guy I'm seeing in Lee's Ferry is named Dave. So I guess you have to be named Dave to fly fish. But that's
not
okay.
Monica.
Not Monica. Not Monica at all. But yeah, so I got some little flies here. So that was my fun day. And what else did I do today? What else is going on with me?
Well, so here's the thing. All of us had a very long Sunday.
Oh, last week.
Coming
That's
back
true.
from New Mexico.
It was Beth's birthday, so we decided to ruin it. Because we celebrated her birthday, right? On Friday, we went to lunch, and we were at the Bloom Fiesta, and wasn't that happy. And we said, we're going to come home. We'll drive home on Beth's birthday. We'll leave in the mid-morning, right? And I'm sad it's your birthday, we have to drive, but it won't be too bad.
And we'll get home, and, maybe we can have a nice dinner for her or whatever. Yeah, Beth laid plans.
Oh my gosh, it was bad. It was so bad.
So I use Waze to navigate. And she uses Google. And at
like
first...
the rest of the world.
No, not the rest of the world.
Anyway.
I'm just teasing you.
So Waze was telling me, when we first set out, was telling me to go through Flagstaff. And I was like, why would I want to go through Flagstaff? And I was all set to ignore it.
Now, what this means, okay, so we have to explain why that's significant. So, in Arizona, the Interstate 17 goes from Phoenix straight north to Flagstaff, and then I-40 goes from California across the United States east-west. So, the old way that we used to go back when we first moved here was between Albuquerque and Phoenix was straight up to Flag and over to Albuquerque or back the other way. But then we found a diagonal shortcut that goes through the mountains. It goes through Payson, Arizona, through like Heber, Arizona, and then up to Holbrook, which is on that I-40 interstate. So we catch I-40 at Holbrook. So you kind of cut this corner, and it cuts a couple of hours off your drive.
About an hour and a half.
Yeah. So it's a significant shortcut.
And I was like, so why would it want me to go that way?
Yeah,
and
on the way back, and Google takes us that way, and Waze takes us that way. But on the way back, it was telling her to go through Flag.
And I was like, what? I'm not doing that. And then as we were approaching Holbrook, it said, no, go through Holbrook. And I was like, well, that was what I was going to do anyway. Meanwhile, she's getting notifications that the main road south of Payson was closed. And I was like, well, it's telling me to go that way. And it was telling me to go through Flagstaff. And
it changed.
And it had changed. And I said, I think I should just go ahead and go through Payson. And she's like, I don't know. It's telling me that road is closed. And her
And it would
husband
say like updated 5 minutes ago.
yeah,
So
and her husband looked on the ADOT
The Arizona Department of Transportation.
Right.
yeah. And it
information,
said
and it said
closed indefinitely from a vehicle fire, and you'd have to go around a different road, kind of backwards to go forwards, and so,
and there had been a fire, an accident or something on the 17, but that theoretically it was clearing up. There's always something on 17.
yeah, 17 always has back
17 in between Flagstaff and
Phoenix.
is always very, very heavy traffic. And
up, especially on a Sunday.
yeah, even though
Yeah.
a holiday was the next day, the truck drivers and everything, so it's always busy. But finally, I was convinced by the ADOT and everything. Okay, yeah, we'll go through Flagstaff, even though this is and Waze kept telling me turn around.
Yeah,
And
we made a choice. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and well, we had to make the best choice we could. Bumper to bumper.
We could have sat for
Stop.
12 hours on 87 as well.
Yeah.
You never know.
It could have been. We
Because
don't know.
87 is the same problem.
But
It's
or
two
we would have
lanes
gone through. We would have gone through some cockamamie way to get wherever we were going.
The reason, one of the reasons I pushed to go through 17 was I was very worried if we went down 87 and we had to be diverted on that 188, which I've never heard of before. Would there be a bathroom for all of us, for Beth, for Dad, for anybody? Would there be services? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
we would have been out in the middle of
in the middle
nowhere.
of nowhere.
Because that highway.
There's nothing there.
Yeah. So I was I thought, if we're going to be, and I remember saying that, if we're going to be delayed, let's be delayed on interstate where we can,
Yeah. So
it was the wrong call.
our normal
Maybe.
commute from Albuquerque to Phoenix is about 7.5 hours. 12.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
12.5 hours, and most of that was spent on I-17.
Mm-hmm. Wisely, we stopped in Winslow after Holbrook, after we decided, because we'd gotten off at Holbrook and we turned around and got back on, and we decided, you know what, we don't know what it's going to be like, so let's eat at Winslow.
So we ate lunch and
we took a little time there, and then we took off. So we left there right at 4 o'clock, and we got home at 10:30.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So we left Winslow, went through Flag. It was beautiful, and then we hit it, and we were there forever. We got off at a love station in standing traffic. We finally found an exit and got off.
And
you would not have
everybody-
believed.
Everybody was.
You would
at
not
that
have believed the
station.
women's line for the bathroom at that
Yeah.
Love's. It went.
Crazy.
The bathroom was in the back, and it went from there all the way almost to
Yeah.
the front door.
And it was full of humanity in there because everyone's jumping off, and there were still thousands of cars on the freeway. I couldn't understand it. So then we got back in. And
Yeah, it didn't
waited
open
some
up
more.
until we were in the city proper. Yeah.
And what's frustrating about that kind of traffic is there was nothing. At some point, somebody must have had an accident. But by the time, you're sitting in traffic like this and you expect that there's something. And you finally get to where it eases up and there's nothing.
Yeah, and
It's insane.
but I think that when something delays the traffic for some time, an accident or something where they have to close the freeway for a little while, there's so much traffic on 17 that it just cannot recover.
Yeah, the ripple effect is so bad.
And 17, when you enter Phoenix, is still 65, I think, but pretty quickly it goes down to 55.
Well, they've really widened it up there.
Yeah.
And it at the top of Phoenix.
They're
it's
trying.
like 4 lanes, but most of the traffic,
Most
4
of it
lanes
was
on each
before we
way.
got into the city.
Yeah, most of it was before then, and it's only 2 lanes each way, and it just, one person I think there's a
But people were
Mythbusters.
being polite.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Except
like
for the motorcyclists who
Yeah.
are going down the shoulder
Yeah.
and just bypassing everyone. Ooh. But,
Yeah.
Breaking
there's
the
a
law.
myth. Yeah, breaking law. There's a Mythbusters episode where they studied traffic and how one brake tap, can really just ripple and affect and stop traffic. But it was very frustrating. Oh, my poor father.
Yeah, so he took, he didn't, he's still kind of recovering from
Yeah.
that. And, you know, because he was lying down in the back some of the time, but, you know, it's
He
a
was
long time.
stiff and sitting there
It's
forever.
it was a long time for me, and I didn't think I was that affected. I was fine to drive the whole time. I was awake, and I was, you know, Naomi wasn't feeling that well, so I went ahead and drove the whole time. But the next day, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I had all this sewing stuff out.
I was like, am I getting sick? Or did I just suffer a 12-hour drive? Yeah, I didn't feel good on the drive, and I didn't feel, it was a huge, I don't know, it was awful. And it was your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped us off at our house, and I was like, oh, by the way, happy birthday. You've been in the car for 12 hours.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh,
It was bad,
gosh.
but it was okay, you know.
I mean,
Shoot.
it could have been worse. We could have had an accident, so we didn't. So we just went through traffic. So hopefully I-17 will be kinder to me tomorrow.
Yeah.
When I go up.
Well, let's just say it can't be much worse.
Can't be much worse. And I'm coming home on a Monday morning, so I'm hoping that won't be so bad.
There should be less truck traffic.
Line from Young Frankenstein.
Could be worse.
Could be raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I but I'm going up. I'm going to go on a guided fishing trip. I'm so excited. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I bought a new shirt. That's what I'm wearing. Wearing my fishing shirt because I went this morning and I thought I'm just going to try this shirt out and see, because it's one of those. Okay, I hate that, you know, sporty wicking fabric. I never feel, you know how they say it's wicking and cooling, but it's always like made out of plastic, right? And I feel like I cannot breathe in those. So even though I spent a lot of money on this shirt, and I thought I'm gonna try it because it's you know, made for the outdoors, and I thought I'm gonna try it today, see if I like it or hate it, and I love it. You know, it's got the venting on the sides and in the back, if you can see the flap, but anyway.
And it's cotton.
And it's what?
Cotton.
No, it's not cotton.
No?
It is not. It's that breathable, sporty material. But it's really nice, and it's SPF, I think it's SPF 50, and which I really like because I hate wearing sunscreen. I know I'm supposed to, and I know you need to, but I absolutely hate it. When I wear sunscreen, I feel like I have a plastic film on my body, and I feel like I can't sweat, and I feel hotter, and then I think I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm reacting to the sun or the sunscreen, but I always feel kind of rashy and itchy afterward. So I hate wearing sunscreen. So I'm really glad, where I'm going is going to be cool enough, so I'm really glad to have this to protect my arms, and I bought myself, my Columbia hat that I had for years is very floppy. It's kind of like I'm wearing a bowl.
Do you know what I discovered?
So I got a new hat.
Do you know what I discovered while I was brain dead, laying on the couch, going, there was a tornado warning while we were, right before we left. I never knew it. In northern, you know, remember we were commenting on how much water was on the ground there, as we were driving north of Payson? Over there. There was a tornado warning.
Really?
There. Yeah. Here in Arizona.
It must have really rained really bad.
They were showing all the tornado warnings and you know how the heavy rain and all that. And I was like, huh. We don't pay attention, I guess. It happened before we left.
Oh, wow.
I think one of those.
Yeah, because there was puddles and puddles everywhere.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find any news on why the road had been so awful. And I didn't find anything. But yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have, it's going to be cool, crispy cool up there. This place is called Lee's Ferry, and it's very close to Utah, and it's going to be cool, but I don't think it'll be icy cold. This morning when we went for the casting lesson, it was like 65, and I told Eli, I said, this is going to be the high where we're going. So, you know, it's kind of,
well,
it'll be cold, but not too
Albuquerque
too bad.
Was so cold when we were waiting for the for the in the morning we left at 4 a.m. I mean, we got on, the bus at 4 a.m. And arrived there very quickly, because if you ever decide to go to the Balloon Fiesta, take the park and ride.
Yeah, do it.
Spend the extra money, take the park
It's
and
not
ride.
that much money extra.
And take the park and ride. I cannot. There's places all over the city where you can park your car, like at a mall or something. You can park your car and you get on a bus. They use school buses, city buses, any kind of buses, right? And you get on a bus and it takes you to the park, and you bypass all the traffic, and it takes you right up to where you get into the park. And your ticket is paid. As opposed to sitting in traffic, waiting, and then paying for parking, which can be $20 to $30, and then paying to get into the park.
Yeah.
And so that's why we had to get up early, because we had to catch the bus. And then you wait. And there's hot chocolate and coffee and breakfast burritos and churros and
or in our
donuts
case, bad breakfast burritos.
Yeah, we just
My
the one with the
fault.
shortest line is where we went.
Yeah, and here's a tip: don't go to the breakfast burrito line. I mean, to the breakfast burrito,
To the shortest
seller that has the shortest line. It means something. It's significant.
Yeah,
It was not good.
we should have waited at the
my fault.
Blake's one.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm hungry. Oh look, they sell breakfast burritos. Wrong. Anyway, and it's not long. That place that was near the exit, where we went to the bathrooms. That place was hopping all day. You should have gone there.
Yeah, you couldn't even get through there at some part of the mornings, and
crazy.
and it's just so we started our day that day at
4.
I got up at 3.
Yeah.
And we got to the park at 5, less than that. It had to be earlier than that, maybe 4:30. And then after we left there, and you just go and stand in where you got left off, and then you hop on a bus and it takes you back to your car.
But we stayed there till 10 to hear the army band.
Yeah. And
so,
whenever you feel like leaving, up to a certain point, after a certain point, and they tell you the buses stop running at this time, but there's really nothing going on after that. But you just go stand wherever they left, and make sure that the sign says the right mall, and it takes you back to where your car is. And they even stopped where our car was. They didn't make us walk back to our car.
We were on an ADA bus, but yeah.
Yeah. But
nice.
And then we went to the Stitcher's Garden, and we went, I don't know where, or we ran around. We didn't stop doing anything. And then we went back in the afternoon, and that time we drove. And we left early enough that, the parking wasn't so bad, but and we found handicap parking, but you have to leave way early if you're going to try that.
Yeah.
And it was the last Saturday, and I think the traffic was less anyway. And I think a lot of people knew that the balloons weren't going to go up. It was very windy. And
Yeah, so we didn't get the full Balloon Fiesta experience because the 2 days that we went, the days that we were there, on Saturday when we went, in the morning, it wasn't too windy down on the surface where we were. It was cold, but it wasn't too windy. But up aloft, where the balloons would have been flying, it was very windy. And so the balloons, some of the balloons inflated, and and all that.
they did the Dawn Patrol and all that. The Dawn Patrol didn't fly like they normally do, but they did the Dawn Patrol show, which was beautiful. And if you saw our video last
Real
week,
quick, we did a shot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
on my channel, there's a very short video of the Dawn Patrol with their little show.
The glow. Yeah.
yeah, but then when we went back in the evening, it was very cold and very windy. And then by Sunday, the wind was horrible. It was just
Yeah, we went to breakfast with my brother to say goodbye, and
Man, it was cold.
I
yeah.
felt like someone slapped me. I was so
Yeah.
chapped from it. And we weren't even out in it that long.
Yeah.
And we
it was-
knew we were driving back to Phoenix, so we didn't want to bundle up and wear Levi's and all that.
But yeah, so it was very windy and very cold, and so we didn't get the full mass ascension experience on the weekend that we were there. But apparently they had gone up quite a bit the first weekend. And
They went
during
up
the week.
every day
Yeah.
except the days we were there.
Yeah.
That's okay. We've all experienced. We really
Yeah.
went to hear my brother.
You know
He
what?
was
It was
great.
Oh, that was so
Their
good. It
band
was so good.
Great.
They call it
Mirage.
Mirage, a Santana experience.
Yeah. And he was really good. We enjoyed it.
And they sound very, very, very much like the recordings that you're used to hearing from Santana.
They did
He said
really
that they watch the live recordings to see if they can get as close as possible.
And my brother, the best thing was, my brother was happy. He looked so happy. He really enjoys playing with those guys. He plays with all different kinds of people, and when he finds a band that he likes, it's really good for him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was having fun. And, everybody, that's the one thing. You may pay for going, and you don't know whether or not they're going to actually go up that day or not, because it all depends on what the weather is. And they strive for safety. They will put safety above anything. And as far as I know, they had no incidents at all, balloon-wise. And the so you may not see the balloons go up, but they will do everything in their power to see that you have a fantastic time, whether or not the balloons go up. The balloons weren't able. It was so windy on that last Saturday night that they were not even able to inflate.
for the glow, yeah.
But they did other things. They had the skydivers bring down the flag, which was amazing.
That was fun.
They had my brother's band was playing. Another band played after them. They have dancers. They have all kinds of stuff. They have stuff you can do. It's fun anyway.
Well, they had,
Shopping.
I think
Shopping,
they had
lots of shopping.
they had fireworks on Sunday
Oh
night.
yeah, they were
also.
going to do the fireworks. That the guy, I asked an official, I'm like, so they're not going to do the glow tonight? And he's like, no, but we're doing the fireworks.
Yeah.
So we could have stayed for that, but
It was
my
so
dad
it was so cold. Yeah,
One of
my
my-
dad was miserable after. He had so much fun listening to my brother, but then he was like,
He's a
"I'm
little
ready to
groupie.
go."
He walked up to the stage with his phone filming my brother. It was so cute.
I had one of my schoolmates, a guy I went to we were in youth symphony together, and then we went to college together. But I think he lives in Texas now or something. He lives out of state, and but he goes back to the balloon fiesta whenever he can, and so he was actually in town the same during the balloon fiesta at the same time I was. And one of my friends, another friend that I'd known since junior high, she said, "Oh yeah, Gary's there. You should look for him." I was like, "There's a bazillion people there. I'm not going to see him." But
I ran the last time I was there in 2014. I took my kids. It was when we bought Hannah's violin, and we were just walking through millions of people, and there was my childhood friend Allison. We just met. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Well, I kind of was looking around to see if I could see him anywhere on the when we were there, but he looks very different from how he looked in when we were kids, and then and then there was just a lot of people, so
It's impossible.
probably if I had been walking around, I might have
Well, you would have had to message him and say, meet me here.
Yeah, so
No, you would not have been able to find him if you were walking around. Well, Eli and I walked up and down to find, good pictures. Well, they were inflated on the ground. They were just sitting there waiting. So we walked all over. There was no way.
Yeah, I walked all over looking at those balloons.
Because-
I've never been able to get. You see, Albuquerque is different than other balloon things that you go to because they let you walk right up to the balloons as they're inflating. You can talk to the pilots. You can get little cards. I have a Smokey Bear card now. I was never able to get really close to some of my favorite balloons because they would go up before I could get there. And since they weren't going up and they were stationary, I was able to, oh look, there's this Kremlin balloon, and I hoofed it over there.
Yeah,
and
it was nice,
they were
actually.
like, "Where are you? You've been gone forever." And I'm like, "I'm looking at the balloons."
No, your father saw a medic thing, and he was convinced it was going to go get you. So that's why I called you.
It was so much fun.
It was nice. And we saw a proposal. So there was one, since they couldn't fly, there was one balloon, and they were letting people get in the basket and take pictures, right? And so this older couple got in, and then they got out. Because I thought they were going to go, because I didn't realize they weren't going up yet. So this older couple got in, and they took pictures, and then they got out. And then this younger couple got in, and they were taking pictures. And then I looked away. I was looking at other balloons or something, and everyone started cheering. And I turned back, and the guy had proposed to her in the balloon basket. I don't know if they were supposed to take a ride or what, but he proposed to her there. And
that was, they talked about that when, Dad and I were sitting in the chairs, I think we were facing the stage, or maybe we were still facing the balloons, yeah. And I heard them saying something on the little PA thing, they were talking about the balloons going up, and there was a guy there doing a countdown for the balloon glow. He was telling the pilots, to when they were lighting their burners and whatever stuff. So he was talking about what was going on, and they were talking about like the 50th anniversary balloon that they had there. But anyway, so I heard some commotion, and he said something about I heard it say something about proposal. And so I looked back on the screen, and there was a sign there that she said yes, or something like that they had unfurled. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, it was cute. It was cute.
Yeah, and I guess next year is going to be the 50th anniversary of the balloon fiesta. So they were talking. They had a special balloon built there in New Mexico.
It was built on the Balloon Fiesta property during the Balloon Fiesta. So
they were having
sewn
like
together.
test runs and things like that to make sure that everything was okay with it, so that next year they can it'll be part of the Balloon Fiesta.
It has to be certified. So
yeah.
There's a whole bunch.
So, but they were talking about some of the scenes depicted on the side of it, some of the designs that had been put into the envelope, the balloon envelope, and one of them I heard that they were talking about the different balloons that were depicted on the sides and who some of the pilots were and all that stuff, and one of the balloons that they mentioned, I heard them say the name. It was a guy I went to school with, Carter Sweet, that I knew in high school, who I think, because I didn't know him, I didn't run into him or anything in college, but while we were in high school, he apprenticed, I guess, and learned how to fly the balloon during that time, and so the balloon that they had at the time was called Goldfinger, and it had little yellow stripes, kind of like I don't know if it had 3 fingers or 4, but it had stripes like fingers, and so and so they had mentioned
those balloons that were on the side of the 50th anniversary balloon are the 13 original balloons from the very first Fiesta that they had, and I heard him telling the story of kind of how it happened, like. One guy had a balloon and somebody else had one, and they said, "Hey, you should bring your balloons over here." And then I guess from that came the the organization of the first Fiesta. So,
well, I remember because it started in the 70s. I was already, old. So I remember one time it was. At Coronado, that's where they were setting up in the parking lot at Coronado. It was small enough, and they kept trying to find.
Was a mall,
yeah,
in Albuquerque,
and they kept trying to find every year. They had to find some new place because they were outgrowing wherever it was they were the time before. And there weren't as many balloons there this year as there had been in previous years, simply because of the pandemic last year. Yeah, harder for the people to get here from other countries. But I can remember one time I'm driving on I-40, and there they are, right there, off the side of the freeway, and where you just like off the side to go see it. And it was a different freeway than it is now, and so it's interesting to remember how it started, and it was just.
Well, I remember
people who liked ballooning
playing
getting
there.
together.
If it's
when
going
I
to be
was
50
in high school.
years old, the high school bands get together. If it's going to be 50 years old next year, that means it started when I was 4. Because I'm not as old as you.
Yeah, it started when I'm not talking about.
Well, 50 years ago would have been what? 1972 or something, 1970 something, wouldn't it?
It started in the 70s.
72.
Yeah. And like I said, when I was in high school, our marching band, went and played there one morning. Yeah.
Yeah, us too.
They have all kinds of different concerts and people playing, and it's just a lot of fun.
But if you want to go, you should look into a hotel now.
Yeah, the hotels in town. They say that during the Balloon Fiesta, the town doubles in size, and it's not a little. It's not a little city.
All the restaurants are open early in the morning because people go and eat breakfast there before they go to the Balloon Fiesta or the pilots or whatever.
Right after
afterward.
they go.
Yeah. So the whole city just goes balloon crazy. Every store has balloon stuff, and
you have to you have to be really careful when you're driving, because there's balloon chase crews, and what these guys do is one person on this person is driving, one person sticks their face out the window to keep an eye on their balloon because they're chasing a particular balloon. I was on a balloon chase crew before. They have other people in the back of the truck, and so the person that's over here going left, and they try to find the nearest place to turn left. And no, now we need the right, because the wind is blowing them wherever, right? And they're trying to find a road that's going wherever that balloon is heading to. And so they even warn you when you live there. They even warn you, watch out for balloon chase crews because they are doing crazy things. And then they land wherever they land, and it'll sometimes be out in the field, but many times it's on the road. It's on a city street. And
when we were
there's
kids,
all kinds of pictures of balloons all over, neighborhoods.
When we were kids, we lived on the west side of town, and so out on the West Mesa, and so the balloons would, a lot of times would land out there on the west side, and so you'd hear the burners, going.
Drives dogs bananas.
And so you could run outside and see a balloon floating over your house, or a lot of time and this is all year round. Whenever it's cold enough aloft for the to contrast with the heat of the balloon. So through most of maybe not in the summer because of the heat and everything, but
a lot of the fall, a lot of the spring.
Yeah. So through most of the year, there's at least a handful of balloons going up, especially when it's cold. So you can see them all year round, but especially during the Balloon Fiesta, it's just absolutely crazy. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, we better sign off.
Yes.
We've been yakking a long time.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
And I have to go pack. I have to go do laundry and practice. My instructor told me I was supposed to practice half an hour today.
So comment below on some really cool thing that takes place in your town.
Yeah.
Here we have, here in Phoenix, there's spring training.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Ostrich Festival.
There's the Ostrich Festival. There's,
which I've never been to.
I haven't either because They don't have parking rides for the ostrich festival.
And there's the Renaissance Fair.
I've been to the ostrich festival as an Uber driver and vowed I would never go there.
Oh, I want to go, but
They don't. The park. Just to get in is crazy.
But I today when I went out to get eggs, way out east, I'm driving along and the A sign above says, "Event traffic, use XYZ whatever road." And I was like, "What event?"
Ostrich festival.
Oh, maybe it's the Ostrich Festival. Maybe it's Renaissance Fair's in the spring, like February.
I don't know, but the Renaissance Fair is way west.
When I lived in...
way east.
Way east.
Way east, but way east.
When
and
I
up like where 60 is, isn't it? I don't know.
When I lived
I
in
have no
Little
idea.
Rock, we had there was the Greek food festival in town, and so there was like a Greek church, I guess, and they had like
They do that in Tucson.
Yeah.
I went to that.
so they had food and all that stuff, and I think there was also a Jewish food festival, but it was always on Saturday, and we always had like rehearsal or something.
Yeah.
But the Greek food festival, whatever weekend it was, I went once, but you have to. It's a very it's a good congested kind of small area there because there's a church parking
There's
lot.
one in Paradise
and-
Valley.
And next to the church, I think it was a school. Well, it was a church at one time, but then it was a school. But then so there's like little bitty parking lots all around, but so there's not a whole lot of parking. So wherever you go, park, you have to walk into the festival, and and that part of town is like. It's kind of crazy. It's Little Rock is not a big town, but it's a similar kind of situation where there's just no place to park. You have to walk.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
we love the Balloon Fiesta. We grew up in Albuquerque. We love it, and we've been chattering about it. I'm sure that there are things that are cool about your town.
Yeah,
Tell
let
us
us
what
know.
they are.
and make sure you subscribe. And welcome to our subscribers. We got a whole bunch more subscribers
Yes,
lately.
thank you.
It's so exciting. And like the video and turn on your notifications so you get notified when we come up with something. Oh, and regarding our project, we have a sewing date coming up, scheduled. So we'll have a day, and we'll take some pictures and make sure we show you our little, we don't know how we're going to do it, but our little, what you call it?
Pale-Case project
Yeah, but what's that called?
tutorial.
No. Watching us do it, the way we do it.
What's that
Assembly
called?
line.
Assembly line. Anyway,
We've been
so-
getting ready for it by doing cutting and stuff
so
like
we're getting
that.
ready, but we're gonna have one. So we'll put up some photos of that, or
And
or do a little
we had
video.
mentioned our Etsy shop. That's all this stuff is linked. Will be linked in the.
Yeah.
In the
Oh, and the Etsy shop, there's still a sale going on, 15%
Oh,
off
yeah.
of $35
Very cool.
or more.
And the address for it is 3 Sisters Creative. The number 3 and the words Sisters Creative.
Yeah, and we have a link.
Yeah.
You can just click the link.
Yeah.
So thank you for sticking around and stitching with us, and we hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. Baby Yoda.
Bye.